Wilder here, and let me tell you about my guest, Kimberly Dvorak, D-V-O-R-A-K. She's an award-winning national security border security investigative reporter for TV, radio, and the print media. She is also the senior foreign policy advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. She is a TV correspondent at CW6 News San Diego, as well as One American News Network. Her website, thekdreport.com. And as we speak now, she streams live, periscope.com, Facebook, and sometimes on YouTube, unless she's been a naughty girl. Hey, Kimberly, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How you doing, Chuck? Good to hear your voice.
Hey, good to hear your voice. And you are streaming live, I believe, right, on Facebook today?
I am.
I keep going, to the, whatever it is called, the timeline or something. And pretty soon your ugly face pops up, and there you are. And hey, I'm going to tell you, listener, it is scary as heck that all of a sudden there are groups that are calling for more or less storming the White House, even telling you when, September 17th. And perhaps even more scarier is we got Kamala Harris now teamed up with Biden. Which one do you want to get to first there, Kimberly?
It's entirely up to you. Both are very interesting topics. We can start with Kamala Harris. I think that's kind of everybody's talking about that in the news today. It's an interesting pick for Joe Biden. He picked someone where it's a state that's going to be guaranteed blue. So he's not necessarily going to pick up any states because of her. And, she was horrible on the campaign trail because people didn't like her. She's not nice. She's kind of has the same personality as Hillary Clinton, where she can be snippy, snappy, in front of the cameras, yay, I'm happy and all of this stuff. But, behind the scenes when she gets off and the cameras, shut down, she went through staffers because they couldn't handle working with her. She, her campaign just, what's going to stick on the wall with the spaghetti here? Is it going to be the abortion rights? Is it going to be the Green New Deal? Is it going to be, police reform? And she just flip-flopped on all of these topics until she flip-flopped out of the race. And, after Iowa, she just, gained no traction. Nobody really likes her. And this is why Iowa is so important for campaigning and for presidential elections in particular, because it's where they have to do the retail politicking. The candidates actually have to go in and they meet in people's living rooms and they talk to them and they spend months in that small little state there. But it's where they learn that retail politics that will take them to the next level, so they know how to talk to people that aren't necessarily politicians or lobbyists or regular people. They just want to go in and they need to get that experience at that level so they can take it up to the next level. And people will gain like a rapport with them and they'll tell their neighbors about them, or they'll go to church and their pastor will talk about it. So these are things that she completely failed on. And the one thing I guess that she's good at is she can sit in her chair and berate, Supreme Court justices during confirmation hearings. She's really good at doing that. But as far as having any kind of real policies, everything the Democrats are looking at as important items for them, Kamala Harris has actually, completely done the opposite, and I'm talking mainly about, police reform and justice reform and all of that. She was a prosecutor that put people behind bars. She didn't care. So, these are issues that the left are going to have, that the extreme left are going to have some challenges with her.
Yeah, I guess she was probably the biggest Democrat, or the most vocal Democrat when it came to Kavanaugh, putting him down. And then there's the Jussie Smollett, and they were mentioning, I think it was on Tucker Carlson's show, that you can still go on her website, not her website, I'm sorry, it's another thing she has, but anyway, and she still has that thing about how she supports him 100%.
And she can explain, and so many reasons,
Yeah,
there's so many reasons.
not to like her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like I said, in person, and I've been, in the room with her, during press conferences and such, and she's just not a nice person. And she doesn't come across where she's like very, she gets annoyed with people if they ask questions that she doesn't want to answer. She's horrible on the, females that accuse, politicians of, inappropriate behavior, let's say. When it's the left, she's there supporting, the left and all of that. But when it comes to the right and the allegations against former Vice President Biden, she comes out and she's like, no, I don't believe that lady whatsoever. So, I mean, you're looking at, one thing is like, we must always believe the women, she says. And then when it comes over to it's, on the Democrat side, which we had a senator, resign and leave office, a Democrat senator because of, his groping of women, 10, 15 years ago. She could care less about, Biden. She's like, yeah, that's no problem. I don't believe those women. So you either believe women or you don't believe women. And this is where she's got all of these flip-flopping policies. That isn't, obviously the Republicans aren't going to vote for Biden because of her. That's just not going to happen. But they have to worry about, and she has to worry about, and Biden has to worry about, losing members of the base. And they could quite often, they could lose the base as a result. So.
Well, and there's, like I say, there's so many reasons not to like her. And you're not going to hear it on the mainstream media. They're not going to point out, how she pitched on to Willie Brown. He was his girlfriend, and then he got her all this and got her this and that. And then, her family, slave owners, she's not really, true black, so to speak, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's the percentage. I don't know. But,
yeah.
What is vacant, I think?
Yeah.
But there's so many things. And the thing that I really like to bring up about her is that about 5 years ago, I guess it was, whenever she launched that investigation and went after David Dollin,
Yeah.
who made all the tapes on Planned Parenthood selling the body parts.
Yeah.
She had her people go into his home, raid the home, crash into it, steal the tapes, and of course she gets a lot of big donations from Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
It's been going on for 5 years, and he says this is his life dream, is to win the lawsuit against her.
Yeah. Well, and this is what the state of California does. I mean, they have the strictest recording policies out there, and you have to, if you're interviewing somebody, you have to ask them permission on tape if it's okay to record them. So they have very strict, they're the strictest in the country. They don't have the same laws out in Washington, D.C. at all. So he actually went in, he did this, and he didn't, I'm trying to say, Dandelion, he went in and he did took the videos, and he didn't ask for permission. So by not asking for permission, opened door for Kamala Harris in her, when she was the Attorney General, to go in and prosecute, raid him. They do this. She's done it to veterans organizations as well. That's the story that I'll be writing and covering here in the next couple days. So she, again, she's labeling, in essence, she's saying that, we want to go after this guy, but I want to support Planned Parenthood. And this clearly was something that most, like probably 90% of Americans, I'm not exactly sure, but it's like a majority of Americans find that kind of abortion completely, unacceptable in this country. And that's where they stop. But the Democrats, basically to the day of birth, they don't mind, voting, 100% with Planned Parenthood on this, and in essence, murdering children. And it's going to be difficult too for Kamala Harris, because she is going to have to answer questions about the Agenda 21 issue and all the abortions and the clinics that are in the black neighborhoods and the violence that's going on. And this is what we're trying to, tell, the black community, hey, go in and just abort all your babies. I mean, it's very, very sad stuff. And everything that you look at as the headlines today, Camilla's like really flip-flopped on them. I just don't know how this goes for Biden in the end, because it's hard to please everybody. And, on any given day, Camilla can have 96 different personalities and, flip-flop herself around. But they're going to make up some pretty good, the Trump administration will start making some pretty good ads about it. And, they'll take that from there. But anyways, yeah, she's not a very nice person.
Yeah, and then there's the guy that, whenever she was Attorney General, the DNA had proven him innocent. He still refused to release him.
Yeah.
There's so many things that come out. Hey, another story you filed, and we've got time now. Let's talk about the Antifa BLM groups calling about sieging the White House.
Yeah.
Wow, and they even give the date, right? I
Yeah.
think there's probably ads right now, listeners, where you can go and sign up and get paid to go and protest against the White House. So,
We'll see if it happens, because obviously now this type of information, and this stuff was found on Twitter, by the way, and so it wasn't pulled down. So they can go after the president and bring down some of his PAC ads, saying about the COVID and how it's really going. They could pull that down and they can label that sensitive. But here we go. We have an organization who really, it's kind of the BLM as well as Antifa put together. They have decided behind the scenes that they're going to storm Washington, D.C. with thousands of protesters, and it's going to last 50 days in Lafayette Square in front of the White House. Well, you put something like that, that's obviously the Secret Service is going to get involved immediately. So what will most likely happen is, if the group continues to say they want to do this, and they want to do this through the election day, then they'll have to actually just back off, and they'll put them off in some other area that they can protest. So, that's probably going to cause a lot of violence at night, because people want to get in there, and it would be rather easy if there were thousands of protesters that tried to storm over those fences and into the White House grounds. It could happen. I mean, I've been walking around it, and there's times I walk around like, God, I almost think I could get over that and get in there rather quickly. But we'll see if
you better not be thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, but they'll have to. The one thing is, the Washington D.C. police, Metro Police, they are excellent with these riots and rallies and things like this. They're already preparing for something like this, and they think that they can have a handle on this and kind of calm this down a little bit. But we've got riots that are out of control every night in Portland and Chicago and New York, and people are leaving these big cities in droves, and business owners are being put out of business because these organizations come in, smash their windows, and grab all their inventory and leave. And there's no recourse for a lot of these business owners. And it's amazing how quickly these big cities and the inner cities that were once vibrant communities are actually just, they're going back to the 1970s days, when they were very violent, drug dealers all over the streets, needles, just shootings of anybody walking down the street, all the kids that are getting killed. It's really terrible what's going on. And ever since these people came out and started protesting, and that, things have gotten worse, not better. So whatever they're doing, they're not doing it right, because there is more violence, there is more death, there is more looting and vandalism, and they're just, they're wrecking these inner cities. So.
And look what de Blasio's doing in New York now, taking the homeless, stopping them, and putting them in some of New York's finest hotels.
Yeah.
I think he just wants people to leave the city, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Leave it alone and leave, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe those are the new residents he wants to live in Manhattan area. If that's the case, they're going to continue to see, thousands of people leave the city. And New York is right now, people are just, the moving companies, they can't even keep up. They have waiting lists because they have so many people that are trying to get out of New York City. That can't be good. That can't be good for the tax base. It can't be good for residents who can't afford to leave. And, is this going to return, like I said, to, 1970s days where, the homeless people, the drug dealers, the gangs, all of them, ruled the city by night, and then you walk around during the day and there's trash everywhere and drug remnants everywhere and people getting shot at night, and maybe they don't clean up the sidewalk very well. It's bad. And what they're doing, like I said, it's happened so quickly. I don't understand how they, again, whatever they're doing, they're not doing it right, because, they didn't have these problems 6 months ago. So, whatever this movement's doing.
When he was, and when Trump says, hey, de Blasio, I'll send in some federal troops. I don't need any federal help. And now he's saying, I need federal money. We're going to, the city's going to crash. Hey, we're going to take our break, and we'll be back and wrap things up with Kimberly Dvorak, D-V-O-R-A-K, streaming live as we record on Facebook, Periscope.com, and her website is thekdreport.com. D-R-N with Kimberly Dvorak, Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. Kind of interesting here that we're going to have the big battle occupying the White House, 50 days, September 17th to November 3rd. November, that kind of rings a bell, doesn't it? Yes. And by the way, Kimberly is regularly on every Monday. It's a little bit different with today. But I guess we already know what we're going to be talking about next week. We'll see if the White House is asking for federal aid.
Yeah, we need federal aid to reimburse, force those gates and all of that stuff. Yeah, and obviously there was a shooting this week, or day before on Monday, where the president was in his COVID briefing at 5 p.m. and outside somebody tried to storm in and got shot and in the hospital, survived, but they were able to get him. But that's how the Secret Service is, like I said, they're really prepared for all this stuff. They're, and you saw the president when he left the room, it was very, quiet, just, got up, moved, not panicked. I think that most people thought there was something.
I'll tell you what, when I saw him, Kimberly, whenever the Secret Service guy came in and said, Mr. President, you have to leave whatever, you don't hear him, but he's whispering in his ear, whatever. Yeah. And he's leaving, and then he sort of hesitates. And I was thinking, are you going to go back and tell people, I'll be right back? Don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, turn around and tell them why you're leaving. Yeah. But thank you, he didn't do that. Get back out of there.
But we can see that there's a lot, obviously there are a lot of people that are not of their right mind that are, threatening President of the United States. And the Secret Service has to take all of these seriously. So, they're out, interviewing people, making sure that, they're just, had a bad day, and they made comments they don't necessarily, intend to follow through with. But yeah, so I mean, this is going to be a concern for the White House. Apparently on September 17th, we'll see how many people show up. But if it's, any indication of what happened, last time when we had, the church burned and we had, the riots in downtown DC, then that's the same thing. I mean, we have to make sure that, the police are ready for it, that the, federal agents are ready for it, and that, Secret Service is there and they're preparing for it. So it's sad that we have to do these things. Again, the violence that these people are perpetrating, the people that live in the, communities, they want more police. They don't want defunding of the police. They want more police in their communities.
So the perfect example, Kimberly, is Seattle. They have just totally surrendered. What was the city council vote, 7-1?
Yeah.
We don't need any police. Unbelievable. I really wish, as we get pretty close to our close here, but I really wish that they'd line up about 7 or 8 of these fire trucks that have the high pressure water hoses.
Yeah.
Right there around the White House or whatever.
Yeah.
And the first time these peaceful protesters decided, well, we're going to knock over this fence or whatever,
Yeah.
Just turn on the water.
It's water,
it does a very good job. And,
Yeah. I mean, you remember. Yeah, remember the days way back when? I guess it was like during the the lead up to the
Vietnam.
Obama election. But anyways, yeah, they used the LRADs, the sound things, to disperse crowds.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh boy, the video on that thing is unbelievable.
yeah.
Yeah. If you ever see a chance on that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I believe we've run out of time.
We have.
And I certainly appreciate this visit. And we'll be talking again next week. Don't forget the website is the kdreport.com. And it's Kimberly Dvorak, Dvorak.